Welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. I hope your day is going beautifully, because today we're unpacking a moment that has set the Turkish entertainment sphere buzzing. It all centers on a public stand taken by Cenk Torun in defense of Mahassine Merabet. Yes, you heard that right. After days of whispers, comments, and a rising hum of speculation, Jenk decided to step forward and speak with clarity and conviction about Mahassine's work, her character, and the respect she deserves. If you've been scrolling through feeds and catching headlines, you've probably seen the hints. Now it's time to walk through exactly what he said, why it matters, and what it reveals about them as artists, and as people. And before we dive all the way in, don't forget to subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and turn on notifications so you never miss what's really going on behind the spotlight. Let's set the stage. Anyone following television and digital releases over the past few years knows that both Cenk Torun and Mahassine Merabet command serious attention. He's the seasoned leading man whose face can carry a primetime poster, and she's the magnetic presence whose elegance and focus have built a devoted audience. Their paths crossed on high-profile projects that drew huge engagement, the kind of collaborations that make viewers argue over favorite scenes and repost clips late into the night. Their on-screen rapport was unmissable, and like clockwork, that screen chemistry spilled into the rumor mill. You know how it goes, the talk becomes its own creature, especially when the work lands and people fall for the story they're watching. Recently, however, a harsher current began circulating around Mahassine. Certain outlets and accounts have amplified grumbling about her decisions, her performances, and even her personal boundaries. In an era where a single comment can snowball into a full narrative, where words from strangers masquerade as facts in a heartbeat, it's not hard to see how pressure builds. That's exactly the backdrop against which Jenk took his stance. No evasions, no coy phrasing. He chose to defend her openly, not with gossip of his own, but by bringing the conversation back to the core of what she does and who she is when the camera's cut. What did he emphasize? First, effort. Jenk underscored that Mahassine's success came from craft and constancy, not shortcuts or hype. He reminded everyone that there's a world of rehearsal, research, and rehearsal again behind each moment she delivers. When people try to reduce a career to a headline, he wanted to lift the curtain and show the substance. In his view, the controlled performances people rave about don't appear by accident. They're built, brick by someone who shows up every day. Second, he addressed privacy. Artists live a strange paradox, on display and yet expected to preserve a piece of themselves. Jenk pointed out that lines have been crossed, subtle, persistent intrusions that add up to a kind of noise no one should have to accept. He didn't need to name names to make the message land. Respect the work, respect the person, and stop pretending personal boundaries are a public playground. Third, he championed solidarity. The industry can become a maze of comparisons and competition, and yet what Jenk modeled here is the opposite of silent calculation. He didn't step up because it suits a romance narrative or because it elevates his profile. He did it because he values a colleague's dignity and wants the room to remember why they're all here in the first place, to make something that resonates. That kind of public support can't be faked. It comes across as a choice rooted in principle. He also offered a clear, resonant affirmation. According to those who were present when he spoke in the clips that followed, his words were steady and deliberate. Mahassine is an exceptionally gifted artist. She has earned every inch of her path through discipline and heart. She deserves respect and admiration, and no cloud of baseless chatter should be allowed to dull the light she's built with years of real work. Simple, right? But in a climate where noise often wins, simplicity can be the bravest sound in the room. Let's pause on why this matters. Public opinion fuels careers, yes, but it can also burn them if rumors outrun truth. When someone like Jenk steps in, he's not only lending his reputation to a fellow professional, he's also reminding the audience that behind every scene, there are choices, risks, and long days that you never see. He's holding up a mirror and asking everyone to look past the storm of commentary and see the person doing the labor. It's a call to slow down, to listen, and to credit talent over speculation. There's another layer here, the nature of digital wildfire. A stray phrase becomes a narrative, a single angle becomes the story. That's where a voice like Jenk's can change the temperature. Plenty of people talk, but not all words resonate. When he speaks about integrity, it draws a line in the sand. He's not telling anyone what to feel about a performance or a role. He's saying that criticism must be honest, grounded, and humane, not dragged by the undertow of click-chasing rumor. Now, some might ask whether this creates more attention or invites more chatter. That risk is real. Choosing to defend someone publicly can sometimes open a new door for misinterpretation, a fresh plot for those who prefer conjecture over context. That's what makes it a courageous thing to do. It's easier to look away, to hope time dissolves the mess. Jenk chose to turn around and face it, to put himself between the speculation and the person he knows. In choosing that posture, he's telling all of us how he believes colleagues should show up for each other. Think about the long memory of show business. We've watched careers wobble under pressure that had nothing to do with performance. We've watched narratives explode and then collapse, leaving a mark anyway. Gestures like this don't erase every slight, but they do counter the current. They provide a reference point that says, let's judge the art on the art, and let's measure the person by the work they've actually done, not by the shadow cast by a rumor. To understand the ripple effect, consider the audience. Fans, journalists, and casual viewers all take cues from how the conversation is framed. When a respected peer says, "Here's who she is and here's what her work deserves," it nudges the dialogue back toward fairness. It's not about silencing critique, it's about insisting on proportion. If you want to debate a choice in a scene, do it. If you want to discuss a role, go ahead. But keep the human being at the center, not the straw figure invented to spark outrage. Those who have followed Jenk and Mahassine since their first collaboration know the dynamic. The reason people shipped them on screen wasn't just because the story was romantic, it was because they met the material with restraint and precision, matching energy in a way that felt lived in. That kind of rapport can be misread as a personal confession when it's really a professional conversation. It takes confidence for two performers to hold that line in public when the noise outside is begging them to blur it. Jenk's choice to speak also underlines something about Mahassine that insiders mention often: her preparation. She is known for a kind of quiet, relentless discipline, scripts marked up to the edges, accents pinned down to the breath, choreography and camera lines reviewed till the body remembers. It might be easier to let the internet pretend talent comes wrapped in luck, but the professionals know better. They know that what looks effortless is very rarely easy. There's a lesson for every up-and-coming artist watching this unfold. The industry will always have opinions, it thrives on talk. But your task is the work, and the people who know the work will see it and defend it when it counts. That's what this moment demonstrates. It says, keep your head, keep your craft, and surround yourself with people who will stand beside you when the static gets loud. If we gather the threads, the message is clear. Jenk's defense rests on three pillars: merit, boundaries, and solidarity. He's calling for recognition of Mahassine's ability and endurance, he's insisting on a respectful distance around her private world, and he's modeling how colleagues can carry one another when the wind shifts. You can almost feel the relief in the air when someone finally says the quiet part out loud: enough with the cheap shots, let's talk about the work. And that brings us to the influence of a single sentence, the kind that survives the day and becomes the takeaway. By calling her an artist who has earned her place and by refusing to let malicious commentary steal the frame, he reframed the moment. It isn't about scandal, it's about standards. It isn't about rumor, it's about responsibility. That's the pivot that matters, not just for Mahassine, but for everyone who wants the industry to be better than its worst habits. So where does this leave the narrative? In a stronger, cleaner place. The spotlight shifts back to projects on the horizon, to performances that will live on their merits, to an audience invited to be as thoughtful as it is passionate. And for the two at the center of this, it's a reminder of what drew people in to begin with, a commitment to telling stories with care and conviction, no matter what is being said off stage. As for us here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we're grateful to witness a moment that favors grace over spectacle. It's a real-time example of how influence can be used to protect rather than provoke, to guide conversation rather than inflame it. It's a call, really, to keep the main thing, the artistry, the hours, the choices that add up to a performance you remember. We've reached the end of today's deep dive. We walked through what Jenk Torun said, why he said it, and what it means for Mahassine Merabet and for the larger landscape of entertainment. We talked about the weight of public opinion, the speed of rumor, and the courage it takes to plant your feet and speak in plain terms. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jenk was right to step in and defend Mahassine? How do you feel about the level of scrutiny artists face when they're just trying to do their jobs? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because our favorite part of this channel is hearing your perspective and continuing the conversation with you. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more stories told with context and care, tap like, share this video with the fans in your circle, and make sure you're subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars with notifications on. We're here to bring you the pulse behind the headlines, the meaning behind the moments, and the stories that stick when the noise fades. Thank you for watching, thank you for caring, and thank you for being part of this community. Until next time, we'll be right here, following the work, reading the room, and keeping you close to the heart of what matters most on and off the screen. See you in the next one.